Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Babel on Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Lamed Lamed. Whoa. Do it again. Today we're studying Daf Lamed Daled of Masechta Shabbis. Before we begin, quick overview of the Daf. So actually, the Daf starts out with some interesting, management kind of techniques, almost reminiscent of the lean product development kind of thing from Toyota and all that stuff, which is kind of interesting. The Gemara had it first. Well, really, the Mishnayos even. Anyways, and then there's going to be a lot of energy spent today understanding bain hashmashos, and I believe it's going to continue into tomorrow as well. So we're going to start. There's all sorts of stuff about bain hashmashos that we're going to learn today, right? That time, sort of safek yom, safek laila, kind of in between the day and the night. So let's jump in. Starting at the new Mishnah today, on Daf Lamed Daled. Shlosh advarim tzarich adam lomer b'soch beiso erev Shabbos imchashecha. Okay, so there are three things that a person needs to say inside of his house, erev Shabbos, right before it gets dark, while it's still the daytime. Okay. Isartem eravtem adliku esaner. Have you yet taken meiser yet? Have you yet separated the meiser? Because you're not allowed to midrabanan. You're not allowed to separate meiser on Shabbos or Yom Tov, I believe, because that would be misaken. You would be fixing it, right? Because it's not yet. It can't be eaten right now the way it is, and by separating meiser, you're then fixing it, and therefore you cannot do that on Shabbos. Okay, eravtem, have you made the eruv yet? Okay, and the Gemara is going to talk about, is this talking about eruve tchumin or eruve chatzeros? Okay, we'll get there, fine. Hadliku esaner, and make sure to light candles. Now, it's interesting, so it sounds like the format of this is basically, one person managing what's going on in the house, and kind of okay, did you take meiser yet? Did you do the eruv? Light the candles, right? So that's kind of interesting. And Rashi says, im chashecha, right, with, as it's getting dark, right, not earlier in the afternoon, right, and obviously not when it's dark, because then it would be Shabbos. Says, she'im yimayir la'azkir mib'od yom, because if he lets them know too early, so yipashu, they'll be negligent, or yifshi'u, they'll be negligent, v'yomru adayin yeshahos, and they'll say that there's still time. And that is kind of reminiscent of just in time, which is one of the lean principles of product development, is to, you don't want to keep too much inventory in the stock houses, just stocking up. You want to get things right as you need it, and keep things moving all the time and keep things fresh. And therefore, it's very cool in terms of how he's making sure that everything gets done in time before Shabbos. He doesn't want to tell people earlier, too much in advance, when you get to it, make sure that you separate the meiser, because maybe it might not happen. Whereas, kind of just being on top of everything, okay, this needs to get done now, let's make sure that we got this going right now, getting done right now, and this is getting done right now. Make sure that everybody has things as they need them. Very interesting. Safek chashecha, safek eno chashecha. But once already you get to bain hashmashos, once already we start getting to that time when you bring in Shabbos, so then ein ma'asun esavadai, right? So then you can no longer take meiser from things that are definitely tevel, that need meiser taken from them. Ve'ein matbilin esakelim, and we also do not bring kalim to the mikveh, because that's also misaken, right? It's fixing it. You can't use it right now. By putting it in the mikveh, then you can use it. Ve'ein madlikin esaneris, and you can no longer light the candles. Okay, fine. Aval ma'aser esadmai, but we do take maaser from demai, which is only a suffix if it's tevel or not. Uma'arvin, and you can make an eruv. And the Gemara is going to ask, right, didn't we just say that you do the eruv when it's still daytime? Why are we saying that you can even do the eruv bain hashmashos? Okay, v'tomnin esachamin, and you can insulate hot food during bain hashmashos. Okay, we'll get to that. Cool. All right, well, let's hit the Gemara. Munanimile, how do we know that we have to do all of these things on Erev Shabbos, right? Meiser, Erev, candle lighting. So Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, says Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Amar Kra, because the pasuk says in Eov, V'yadata ki shalom o alecha, you will know that your house is peaceful, Ufakadta navcha v'lo sechta, and you will always remember your home and you will not sin. I think the point being that, to make sure that you're going to have a good, enjoyable, pleasant Shabbos. Make sure that the meiser has been taken from the fruits, that you have, awesome fruit for Shabbos. And make sure that the Erev is there so you can carry. Make sure that there's a candle so you could see at night. It's all part of this pasuk of making sure that, things are going to go smoothly on Shabbos, that the preparations are in place. Very cool. This I love. Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna, says Rabba bar Rav Huna, Afal gav de Amar Rabbanan. I love it. Afal gav de Amar Rabbanan, Shlosha dvarim tzarich adam lomar v'chulei. Even though the rabbis said, look, there are 3 things that you have to do on Erev Shabbos as it's getting dark. You have to say, Isartem eravtem adlikos haner. But nonetheless, tzarich lememrinu b'nichusa, you have to say them, pleasantly, ki heichi dilikablinu minei, so that people will accept it. I love it, not to kind of like view it as like a chiyuv, you have to say, Isartem eravtem adlikus haner, and everyone's all frustrated and stressed out, and you make sure that he's doing it to be mekayim the halacha of, tzarich, shlosha dvarim tzarich adam lomar b'soch beis erev Shabbos. He said, no, forget about the chiyuv. Yeah, you do have to do it, but also do it properly. Do it in a way that people will accept it from you and actually do it, which is awesome. Okay. Amar Rav Ashi, this is cool. Says Rav Ashi, Ana lo shmieli ha de Rabba bar Rav Huna v'kiyamti misvara. I never heard this statement of Rabba bar Rav Huna, who said that you have to do these things b'nichusa, sort of gently or in a way that people will accept them. But I did it anyways. I just figured it was the right thing to do. And why is this cool? It's cool because it's cool, but it's also cool because Rav Ashi said the same thing in Masechta Brachos and Daf Nun Zayin and Beis. There was that whole thing over there when you go to Bavel and you see the destroyed Bavel. There's like 5 brachas that you make. One when you see Nebuchadnezzar's destroyed palace, 5 different things. And Rav Ashi says, "Oh wow, I had never heard of that, but I always just did it misvara. I wonder if that's like a Rav Ashi thing." Okay, fine, very nice. Let's go weiter in Shas, friends. The Gemara says, Hagufa kasha. 1 second. This is inherently contradictory. Amar shlosha dvarim tzarich adam lomar b'soch beiso erev Shabbos im chashecha. 1 second. First you said that there are 3 things that a person needs to say in his house on Erev Shabbos, right before it gets dark, i.e. before bain hashmashos. Im chashecha in, safek chashecha, safek enu chashecha lo. These are things that need to be happening basically before there's any question of whether it's dark or not. But once already it's safek chashecha, safek enu chashecha, once it's already bain hashmashos, you don't do these things anymore. V'hadar tani, safek chashecha, safek enu chashecha, me'arev. But then it says that once it hits bain hashmashos and it's safek chashecha, safek enu chashecha, we don't know if it's dark or if it's not dark, you can do the erev. But didn't we say that erev was one of the things that you do before you get to bain hashmashos? Skip the next line. Amar Rabbi Abba, Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, Amar Rab. Says Rabbi Abba, the name of Rav Chia bar Ashi, the name of Rab, Lo kasha, no problem. Kan be'uve tchumen, kan be'uve chatzeres. It depends. Who remembers what eruve tchumen is? Who remembers? Eruve tchumen is when you want to extend how far you can walk outside of a city on Shabbos. On Shabbos, you can walk 2,000 amas outside of a city. Let's say you want to go to your brother who lives in the city that's 4,000 amas away. So you could set up an erev 2,000 amas outside of the city. That means that before Shabbos, you put down some food over there before Shabbos. And then when Shabbos comes in, it's ki'ilu, that's where you are for Shabbos. Which means that you then have 2,000 amos in any direction from where the food is. And therefore, since you put a 2,000 amas outside of your city, you can walk to where the food is, and then you can continue walking another 2,000 amas in the other direction of the food and arrive at the other city that you wanted to go to. And the Eruv Chatzeres, if anybody remembers, what do you mean if anybody remembers? Everybody remembers. That it's when you have several houses that open into a courtyard, okay? Now, even though that courtyard is a Rishus HaYachid, right? It's surrounded by walls, it's a Rishus HaYachid. However, because the multiple homes are opening up into one courtyard, therefore the Chachamim say they're concerned that if people are going to carry in that courtyard, they might end up carrying in Rishus HaRabim. So therefore, they say you have to make an Eruv. And what you do is everyone chips in for a bread, and then by doing that, they kind of join together in that courtyard, and you can carry in that courtyard. So, Rashi points out that even though both Eruvei Tchumen and Eruvei Chatzeris are Midirabanan, Eruvei Tchumen is a little bit more official. It's based on Psukim. There's an Asmachta based on Psukim. Therefore, it's a little more official, and therefore you should do that while it's still daytime, okay? But we're going to learn later that even if you do it bain hashmashos, it's okay. However, Eruvei Chatzeris is a chumra ba'alma. Eruvei Chatzeris is really just a chumra. And because it's just a chumra, so you can even do it bain hashmashos. Okay? Sounds very beautiful. Let's go weiter in Shas. Oh my Rave, I mean, you can do it even chatchila bain hashmashos, right? We're going to see that, b'di'eved, you can theoretically do both of them bain hashmashos. Let's go weiter. Oh my Rave hat gesagt, said Rave, Amru lo shnayim. If two people said to this guy, right? Imagine you have a guy, maybe this is like one of his jobs, right? He puts out Erevs for people on Erev Shabbos. That's the service he provides. That people on Shabbos want to have an Eruv Tchumen, so he'll do that for you, right? He'll go out before Shabbos, he'll put some food somewhere for you, and it'll be Ki'ilu, it'll be your Shaliach, and it'll be Ki'ilu, you're in that place for Shabbos, and then you can, extend your, where you can walk by 2,000 Amos on Shabbos. So Amru lo Shnayim. So Reuven and Shimon said to this guy, Sei va'arev aleinu, can you go out for us and set up the Erev Tchumen for us outside of the city, before Shabbos? Le'echad Erev olav mibod yom. So one of them, he managed to set up his Erev and put the food down for him while it was still daytime. Le'echad Erev olav ben hashmashos. And then for the other guy though, he only managed to get his Erev set up during bain hashmashos. Okay? During bain hashmashos. Okay? So one of them he managed to set up during the day. The other one he only managed to set up bain hashmashos. Okay? The story is not over. Zeshe Erev olav mibod yom. Now, the Erev that he had set up during the daytime, ne'echal eruvo bain hashmashos. Guess what happened? During bain hashmashos, a dog came, or a person came, and ate the Erev. Okay? Okay? V'zeh Erev olav bain hashmashos, and the Erev that he set up during bain hashmashos, nechal eruvo mishach hashecha. Once already it got dark, either a dog or a human came, I'm saying a dog or a human because that's what Rashi says, and he ate the Erev. Okay? Shneim kanu Erev. Guess what? The Erev works for both of them. Now, the way that the Erev works is that when Shabbos comes in, as long as the Erev is still existent when Shabbos comes in, so it's Ki'ilu, that's where this person is for Shabbos. So the interesting thing is that after the Erev was put there, it was then eaten. And the question is, was it still existing when Shabbos came in? And we're saying that in both cases, right? So remember what happened. In the first case, the guy set up the Erev before Shabbos and it got eaten during bain hashmashos. And then in the second case, the guy set it up during bain hashmashos and it got eaten when it was fully nighttime. And we said that in both cases, the Erev works. So the Gemara says, Ma nafshach. 1 second. This doesn't make sense. I bain hashmashos yamamahu. If bain hashmashos is considered daytime, well then no. So let's think this through. If it's daytime, so basically for the first guy, whose Erev was set up during the day, and then it was eaten during bain hashmashos, which we're saying is daytime, well then basically the Erev was put there and was also eaten all during the day. Came Shabbos at night, there was no Erev anymore, so it wouldn't work. Whereas the other guy whose Erev was set up during bain hashmashos, and we're saying that bain hashmashos is considered the daytime, so if his Erev was set up during the day, it was then eaten when it was fully night. Okay, but that means that when Shabbos came in, it wasn't eaten yet. So that one should work. So why are we saying that both of their Erevs are working? It would sound like if we say that bain hashmashos is considered daytime, well then it should only work for the guy whose Erev was set up during bain hashmashos, right? And then let's take it one step further and say, and if you consider bain hashmashos to be nighttime, well then in that case, the first guy whose Erev was set up during the day, okay, and it was eaten during bain hashmashos, that means it was only eaten at night, which means that when Shabbos came in, the thing still existed. So it should work for the first guy. But the second guy, who the Erev was only set up during bain hashmashos, we're saying bain hashmashos is nighttime, that means that the Erev was only set up at night. So then, when Shabbos came in, the Erev wasn't set up yet, and therefore, it shouldn't work for him. So how come we're saying that it works for both of them? Because if bain hashmashos is considered daytime, it should only work for the guy whose Erev was set up during bain hashmashos. And if bain hashmashos is nighttime, it should only work for the guy whose Erev was set up during the day. Okay, so now in the words of the Gemara. Manavshach. However way you look at it, it doesn't make sense. If we're considering bain hashmashos to be the daytime, well then, who? So then basra liknei, well then it should work for the second guy whose Erev was set up during bain hashmashos, i.e. was set up during the day and eaten at night, that should work. Kama lo liknei, but it shouldn't work for the first guy, because for the first guy, his Erev was set up during the day and was eaten during the bain hashmashos, i.e. it was eaten while it was still daytime. When Shabbos came in, it wasn't there. V'i bain hashmashos leil yahu, and if we're saying that bain hashmashos is nighttime, okay, well in that case, Kama liknei, it should work for the first guy whose Erev was set up during the daytime and eaten during bain hashmashos, i.e. it was eaten once it was already nighttime. But basra lo liknei, but it shouldn't work for the second guy, because if bain hashmashos is nighttime, then the Erev was only put there during the night, during bain hashmashos, which is during the night, and it's too late. So the Gemara answers, bain hashmashos sveikahu. Bain hashmashos is a suffix. We don't know if bain hashmashos is the daytime or if it's the nighttime. Usvega d'Rabbanan lekula. And when you have a suffix d'Rabbanan, such as a suffix when it comes to Erev is only midrabbanan, and therefore, when it comes to a suffix d'Rabbanan, we can go lekula. Okay? And therefore, in both cases, so for the first guy, who the Erev was set up during the day, okay, we can be concerned, well, maybe bain hashmashos is nighttime, and his Erev should work. So we say, okay, great. And for the guy whose Erev was set up during bain hashmashos, we would say, well, maybe bain hashmashos is the daytime, in which case it was set up still during the day, and then when nighttime came, it was still existing, it was only eaten later. So that should work for him. So therefore we could say it could work for both of them based on the fact that bain hashmashos is suffix yom, suffix laila, and therefore it can work for both of them. And suffix d'Rabbanan lekula by Erevin. Fine. V'amar Rava, and Rava said, wow. Okay. So what's tomnin? What's tomnin? Tomnin, hatmana is insulating, right? So I almost think about it like, those like pizza bags, right? That you take the pizza pie and you put it in those bags to like keep it warm, to insulate it. So that would be atmana, insulating. And that would be atmana. That means hatmana with something that does not increase heat. It preserves heat, right? So if you put something in there that is hot, so hopefully it'll keep it hot. If you put something in there that's cold, it's not going to make it hot, okay? But then there's a davar shemosif hevel, which increases heat. We're going to see an example of that in just a few minutes, and we're going to learn about it a lot more in the next two prakim of Hakira and Bamet Tomnin. But basically, apparently there seems to be a way that you can insulate something in a way that will increase the heat, okay? So the Gemara asks, V'amar Rava, Mipnei ma amru ein tomnin b'davar she'eino mosif hevel mishecha shecha. How come once it's dark out, i.e. once it's Shabbos, how come I can't take my soup and insulate it in one of these like, insulated bags or whatever to just preserve the temperature? What's wrong with preserving the temperature so that I can keep it hot? So Gzer Shem Yartiach. He says, well, the concern is that, what happens if the soup has cooled down already? And now you want to put it into this insulated thing, and you realize, well, it's not really that hot anymore. So you might reboil it, which would be bishul, and then put it into the insulation. And because we're concerned that it might lead to bishul, so therefore we say that you can't insulate with something even if it's not going to increase heat out of a concern for bishul. Well, if that's the case, well then why are you only not allowed to do this once it's mamash Shabbos? You shouldn't even be allowed to do this during bain hashmashos, because if the concern is that, you might mamish do bishul, well that's just a standard gezerah. It's a gezerah derabanan, right? It's a gezerah derabanan that we're concerned that if you can do atmana, you might end up doing bishul. So that should already apply during bain hashmashos. Why is it only when it's dark? Now, if you remember on Daf Chesamud Beis, we saw the opinion of Rebbe, who says, Kol davar shu mishum shvus lo gazu alav bain hashmashos, that anything that is midrabanan, we don't, they didn't make the gezeras bain hashmashos, but this Gemara is assuming not like that, and that dinim derabanan would apply, gezeras derabanan would apply during bain hashmashos. So Abai says, if it's just because, don't do atmana because we're concerned about bishul, that's just a regular gezerah, it should apply even during bain hashmashos. So says Rava, Rava said, yeah, but, in most cases, so he says, because during bain hashmashos, mistama, the pot is going to be hot, right? Meaning on Shabbos already, you stopped cooking the thing already a few hours ago. So therefore, it might have already cooled down, or it probably even cooled down, and if you might reheat it before putting it away for the installation. But during bain hashmashos, mistama, you were just cooking it right just now. And bain hashmashos, it's still boiling hot, and therefore, when you put it into the installation, you're not gonna be reheating it. It's just about as hot as it's gonna be. And therefore, you don't need to make the gezerah if maybe you're going to boil it, because it's already pretty much boiled. V'amar Rava, and said Rava, so Rava says, and what about tomnim doing atmana, right, insulating something with something that increases the heat, right? I imagine that it's going to have to be something that's maybe hotter than the thing itself. I don't know, how do you insulate something with something that increases heat? I'm almost thinking about kind of like putting it in like a campfire or something and like packing it in, or like, heating it up in the ground or something like that, where it's like actually surrounded by heat. So we say that you can't even do this during the day. Even when it's still daytime, you wouldn't be able to insulate food with something that increases the heat. So how come? So he answers, because we're concerned that if you insulate something with something that will increase heat, well then you might insulate with like ash that has coal in it, right? If you can think almost like a campfire, right? Or like a wood burning fire. So as the wood burns, it creates all this ash, but in the ash there are like embers and coals. So therefore we're concerned that even if it's during the day, you might do hatmana, you might insulate with something with like some ash that has coals in it, right? Glowing coals in it. So Amalei Abai v'yatmin. Abai says, so what? What's the problem? Why during the day can't he insulate something even if there's coals? So because we're concerned that once Shabbos comes in, he might stoke the coals, and that would be a problem. So therefore, even during the day, don't insulate with something that increases the heat, because if you end up using coals, then you might stoke the coals on Shabbos. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, bain hashmashos. When it comes to bain hashmashos, safek min hayom u'min halayla. Okay, so we're concerned that part of bain hashmashos may be considered part of the day, and part of it may be considered part of the night. Safek kulu min hayom. Another possibility is that bain hashmashos is entirely day. Safek kulu min halayla. Another possibility is that bain hashmashos is entirely nighttime. Matilin osu l'chomer shnei yamim. Okay, so therefore we kind of apply the chumras of 2 days, right? So let's say it is Monday night, right? Monday during bain hashmashos. We have to assume that, bain hashmashos takes on the qualities of both Monday as well as the following day, which is Tuesday, right? Because of course, in Jewish law, the day starts at night. So from Monday night, it's already considered Tuesday. Bain hashmashos, we have to treat it like both Monday and Tuesday, and we're going to figure out what the nafkamina is in just a moment. Ve'ezu bain hashmashos, and what is considered bain hashmashos? Right? At what point is it considered bain hashmashos? And for how long? When does it last? When does it start? When is it considered fully night? Ve'ezu bain hashmashos mishatishka achama. Okay, so from sunset. Kozman shepnei mizrach ma'adimin. As long as the east is red. Now, yeah, maybe I should have looked this up, but I don't necessarily understand why the east would be red, because doesn't the sun set in the west? So why would the east be red? Wouldn't like the west? So funny. You guys heard that? That was the same neighbors. I guess now they're closing those windows. So I guess when I record Babylon Talmud in the morning, they're opening the windows, and when I record it at night, they're closing the windows. But they always somehow know when I'm recording. Wow, these guys are sharp. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, if the sun sets in the west, so then shouldn't it be the west that would be red? Or maybe like the sun shining on the east kind of makes it red. But in any event, so it begins, well, it's going to actually be unclear how to understand this statement, but let's just explain what this statement means, which is, from when the sun so from sunset, kozman shepnei mizrach ma'adimin, as long as the eastern side is still red, okay? Now, hichsef atachton v'lo hichsef ha'elyon bain hashmashos. Now, when the lower part of the sky is already dark, and the upper part of the sky is still light, so that is bain hashmashos, okay? Hichsef ha'elyon v'ishvel atachton zeu laila divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, once the entire sky, right, so the higher part of the sky is the same exact color as the lower part of the sky, then you know that is fully night. That is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. And we're going to explain Rabbi Yehuda's opinion in a little bit. Rabbi Nechemia Omer, says Rabbi Nechemia, so Rabbi Nechemia says that bain hashmashos begins at sunset, and then it lasts for the amount of time that it takes to walk a half of a mil. Okay, a mil was how long again? Oh gosh, was a mil 2,000 amos maybe? I think a mil may have been 2,000 amos, which is about 3,000 feet or something. I can't say that for sure. Cool. Rabbi Yossi Omer says, Rabbi Yossi, bain hashmashos keheref ayin zenichnas v'zayotze v'yefshel amor alav. Oh, says Rabbi Yossi, that bain hashmashos is like the blink of an eye. That it just immediately sort of, daytime ends, nighttime comes in. Now this is reminiscent, of course, of the first daf of all of Shas, the first daf of Brachas, daf Beis and Beis, when we're trying to figure out when exactly you can read Kriyas Shema already. Okay, fine. Amar Mai, we said earlier, Matilin also l'chomer shnei yamim. Aha. So we said earlier that we apply to bain hashmashos the chumras of both days. So going back to our example of Monday evening during bain hashmashos, so we have to treat bain hashmashos just like Monday and also like Tuesday. What's the nafkamina? So Amar Rav Huna, right? So what's the nafkamina? Amar Rav Huna Bred Rav Yoshua. Says Rav Huna Bred Rav Yoshua, Rav Papa's sidekick, his deputy. In the story, right? So Rav Papa was the Rosh Yeshiva in Narish, and Rav Huna Bred Rav Yoshua was his sidekick, was his deputy. And then there was that story, of course, with Rav Chanina Bred Rav Ika, when he made the bracha of Chacham Arazim for Rav Papa and Rav Huna Bred Rav Yoshua, and they killed him. So, hello, Rav Huna Bred Rav Yoshua. Hello from a distance. Fine. So Linyan Tuma, of course. So what is the nafkamina when we say that bain hashmashos we apply the suffix both of both days? So regarding Tuma, of course, Kidetnan, as we learned in the Mishnah regarding Zavim, Ra'a shnei yamim bain hashmashos Safek l'tuma u'lekorban. Ra yom echad bein hashmashos safek l'tuma. What does this mean? Okay, remember, what's a zav? Who can tell me? What's a zav? A zav is a man who sees this ziva stuff come out of him, and it's not sperm, it's some other stuff. And anyways, so the way that works is if he sees ziva once, so he's a balkari, it's keilu, he's not a zav. If he sees it twice, then he is a zav. Okay, he's a zav she'eno gamor. That means that he's a full-fledged zav. He has to wait 7 days without seeing any ziva. Okay, now if he sees ziva, now those two sites of ziva can either be twice in 1 day or on 2 consecutive days. Okay, now if he sees ziva 3 times over the course of 1 or 2 days or on 3 consecutive days, so then he becomes a zav gamor, which is basically the same thing as a zav she'eno gamor, the nafkamina being that he has to bring a korban at the end of this whole process. Now, if you have a fellow and he sees ziva on, let's say, Monday evening during bain hashmashos, and he sees ziva again on Tuesday evening during bain hashmashos, okay? So, you have the whole gamut of possibilities. He can either not be a zav whatsoever, or he can mamish be a zav gamor. How is this possible? The Gemara doesn't explain it, so I will explain it. It's possible like this, because since bain hashmashos, you have to apply the chumras of both, the current day as well as the following day. So it's possible that when he saw ziva during bain hashmashos, right, the way that I'm imagining it is you have to assume that ki'ilu, let's say, part of bain hashmashos would be considered part of the previous day, and part of bain hashmashos would be considered nighttime already and would be connected to the next day. So if he sees this ziva during the first part of bain hashmashos, which is still connected to, in our example of Monday afternoon, so then it would be still connected to Monday, and then he sees ziva again on Tuesday during bain hashmashos, but it's on the later part of bain hashmashos, that's already nighttime of Tuesday, so it's really part of Wednesday. So then he saw ziva once on Monday, he saw ziva again on Wednesday, he wouldn't be a zav whatsoever, because in order to be a zav, he would have to see ziva twice within either 1 day or 2 days. And here he saw it once on day 1, once on day 3, he's not a zav at all. Okay? Now the other possibilities would be if he sees, basically almost any other possibility would make him a zav she'eno gamor. So let's say he sees ziva on the first part of bain hashmashos on Monday and the first part of bain hashmashos on Tuesday. So then he basically saw it on Monday and Tuesday. If he sees ziva on the second part of bain hashmashos on Monday and the second part of bain hashmashos on Tuesday, so he basically saw it Monday night, which is Tuesday, and Tuesday night, which is Wednesday, so he saw ziva Tuesday and Wednesday, and he's a zav. If he saw ziva on the second part of bain hashmashos Monday night, right, and then on the first part of bain hashmashos on Tuesday afternoon. So basically, when he saw ziva Monday night, it was really Tuesday already. When he saw it on the first part of bain hashmashos on Tuesday, it's still Tuesday. So he saw it twice in 1 day, and he's a zav. Great. It's possible I missed one of the possibilities, but you get the point, right? There's all sorts of ways that he could be a zav in this case, a zav she'eno gamor. But now there's a possibility that it can even be a zav gamor, that it would be ki'ilu he saw ziva 3 times over the course of 3 days. How? Well, no, he didn't see ziva 3 times. He saw ziva twice. However, when it comes to a zav, there are 2 ways they can become a zav. Either by seeing ziva, 2 or 3 times, or even if he sees ziva over the course of 2 days, right? And therefore, in this case, even though he's seeing ziva only twice, but it's possible that these 2 times spanned the course of 3 days. How could that be? So let's say he sees ziva on Monday during bain hashmashos, and I guess he saw it, maybe, I don't know, somehow he was seeing ziva over the course of a certain amount of time, maybe just a minute, who knows. But part of while he saw that ziva, part of it was connected to Monday, and part of it was connected to Monday night, which is Tuesday, and the same thing happened the next day, where part of when he was seeing ziva was still connected to Tuesday, and part of it was already connected to Tuesday night, which is already Wednesday. So he saw ziva twice, but on 3 consecutive days. So therefore, he would be a zav gamor, and you'd have to bring a korban. Okay, other possibilities are maybe he saw Ziva during the first part of Monday, but then on Tuesday he saw it, during the first and the second part. It kind of extended from the first to the second part. So therefore it's also 3 days, or vice versa. On Monday night he saw, in the first into the second part, but then the Tuesday you only saw it in the second part. So you basically have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So basically, Bekitzer, you can have this guy who sees Ziva on both Monday bain hashmashos and Tuesday bain hashmashos, and he can either be completely tahor, he could be a zav she'eno gamor, or he can even be a zav gamor. And then the Gemara also says that if you can have a zav who sees Ziva just one time, and then since he only, but during bain hashmashos, so in this case, obviously he can't be a zav gamor because he only saw it one time during bain hashmashos, but he could either be completely tahor, because if it's in, only one part of the bain hashmashos, so let's say it was the first part, so you saw Ziva on Monday. If during the second part of bain hashmashos, so you saw Ziva on Tuesday. But let's say it's extended from the first part of bain hashmashos to the second part of bain hashmashos, so then it would be a zav she'eno gamor because he saw Ziva over the course of 2 days. Woo! Very interesting. And that is the nafkamina. So when we say that we apply the chumras of both days, that is what we mean. That regarding a zav, we have to apply, if you have this guy who saw Ziva during bain hashmashos, we have to apply both the chumras of both days to figure out what he's going to be chayiv to bring. Okay, now the Gemara says, Hagufa kasha. This is inherently a question. Amart ezu bain hashmashos. So on the one end, right, so we're right now going to try to understand Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Right, Rabbi Yehuda, in his opinion, it wasn't super clear. He said a few things. He said from Shkias Achama, while the eastern side is still red, and then he continued to say, and once the bottom part of the sky is dark and the upper part of the sky is still light, so that's bain hashmashos, and once the upper part of the sky is dark and equally dark as the lower part of the sky, well then it's nighttime. So there's like a few different things that he's mentioning there, and it's not super clear. Why isn't it super clear? Let's see. Hagufa kasha. On the one hand, Amart, you said, Ezu bain hashmashos. When is bain hashmashos? Mishatishka achama, kozman shepnim mizrach ma'adimin. So, from Shkias Achama, as long as the entire eastern side of the sky is red. What does that imply? Hahichsif atachton, v'lo hichsif ha'elyon, lailahu. Which implies that once the lower part of the sky becomes dark, and the upper part of the sky is still light, well, that's already nighttime. Because it's only bain hashmashos as long as the side of the east side of the sky is red. Once the lower part of the sky is dark, it should already be nighttime. But then it says that, wait, but if the lower part of the sky is dark, and the upper part of the sky is light, it's bain hashmashos. I don't get it. Didn't we just imply that would already be nighttime? So Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. So Rabba says in the name of his Rebbe, Rabbi Yehuda. I think Rabbi Yehuda was definitely Rabbi Yosef's Rebbe. I'm not positive he was Rabba's Rebbe. I think he may have been Rabba's Rebbe. Why not? Rabba and Rabbi Yosef were contemporaries. And Rabba was, and Rabbi Yehuda was Rabbi Yosef's teacher. So why not? Let's say he was also Rabba's teacher. But in any event, it doesn't matter whether or not he was his teacher, but he was definitely one generation earlier. So Rabba was quoting Rabbi Yehuda, who was quoting his teacher, Rav. Okay? So Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar he's not quoting his teacher Rav, he's quoting his teacher Shmuel. But Rav and Shmuel were contemporaries. Rabbi Yehuda was a student of both Rav and Shmuel. Okay, fine. Karoch v'tani. Wrap them all together and teach it in the following way. Ezu bain hashmashos. When is bain hashmashos? Mishatishka achama, from Shkia. Kozman shepnei mizrach ma'adimin. As long as the eastern side of the sky is red. V'hichsev atachton v'lo hichsev ha'elyon nami bain hashmashos. As well as when the bottom part of the sky is dark and the upper part of the sky is still light, that is still bain hashmashos. So basically from Shkia all the way until while the lower part of the sky is dark and the upper part of the sky is light, that's all bain hashmashos. But once already the upper part of the sky is as dark as the lower part of the sky, well then, that's nighttime. Rav Yosef Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Interestingly, Rav Yosef quotes Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel. Hachi katani. Mishetishka achama kozman shepnei mizrach ma'adimin yom. Once you have the sunset, once you have Shkia, as long as the eastern part of the sky is red, well then it's still daytime. Once the lower part of the sky is dark and the upper part of the sky is still light, that is bain hashmashos. Now once the upper part of the sky becomes dark, just like the lower part of the sky, well then it's already nighttime. So according to Rav Yosef, bain hashmashos is a little bit shorter. It starts a little bit later than Rabbah. Okay, we're going to stop here because otherwise we got to keep on going for a while. So we'll pick up from here tomorrow. Let us recap. So we started today with the Mishnah about the 3 things that you have to say in your house on Erev Shabbos, before bain hashmashos, which was interesting because kind of the psychology there of you have like this guy who's managing his household and making sure everything gets done on time, and kind of the saying don't tell people to do stuff too early because then they might not plan well and forget to do it altogether. Kind of make sure you say it, just in time, so that if they're going to do it, they'll do it right now. And the other sort of like big topic that we covered today is bain hashmashos. So the one thing that we talked about is that maybe it's considered day, maybe it's considered night, maybe it's considered partially day, partially night. We said that the nafkamina was for somebody who sees ziva 2 days in a row during bain hashmashos. We say that it can include the whole gamut of from being tahor to being zav she'eno gamor to being a zav gamor. So therefore you have to act accordingly based on the different stringencies of I guess then in that case you would bring a korban. So Rashi says you would bring a korban chata sa'of, which is brought on a suffix like this, because maybe, who knows, maybe it was a zav gamor. Next, we discussed 3 different opinions about what bain hashmashos in fact is. When does it start? When does it end? There was that first opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, which was basically like from the sunsets when the sky is red, and we had 2 ways to understand Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. First was that of Rabbah, which says it begins with sunset, right, and then it continues while the eastern side of the sky is red, all the way until the upper part of the sky matches the lower part of the sky. According to Rav Yosef, bain hashmashos only begins once the lower part of the sky gets dark and the upper part of the sky is still light, and it ends when the upper part of the sky is as dark as the lower part of the sky. There's then the opinion of Rabbi Nechemia, who says that it begins at sunset and it lasts as long as it takes to walk a half a mil. And Rabbi Yossi says that bain hashmashos is just the blink of an eye. Well, that's all I could say for Daf Lamed Daled of Masechta Shabbos. I hope everybody enjoyed. Have a great day, or night, or whatever. Peace.